present a new series of radio programs, The Clock.
There's an old curiosity shop. Every once in a while I go by there for the fond recollections that lie there in that old curiosity shop.
Alright, let's zoom on in here and let you see what I've been working on the kitchen counter. I've been fiddling around with this old clock for about 2 hours. Fiddling or tinkering, whatever you want to say. And I'm actually not going to let you see the front of it just yet. That's going to be a surprise for later. But I realize some of you have never been on the inside of a mantle clock before. So let's go inside and see what we've got. We'll open up the back door here, and I've already done the cabinet work, so this cabinet now is absolutely gorgeous. It wasn't when I found it. We're going to get inside here, and let me see. I don't know if you're going to be able to... Hold on, I'll keep my camera still. Give me a second. Alright, we can see that it's a 15-day clock, so it's to be wound every 15 days. And this is your chime right here, which right now isn't doing anything because I took the gong out. But we've been running now for about 2 hours. The pendulum is swinging as it should, and the clock is ticking away. It's a pretty quiet one. I don't know that you can hear it. But this thing was all glooped up with all kinds of ancient grease and tobacco and dirt and dust, and I think mice had lived in here for a while. It needed a little tuning, a little fine adjustments, but the mainspring wasn't broken. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now you can see right here this is what the bell looks, or what the gong looks like, and I've taken that out. And this hammer right here, when everything is in place, strikes this gong, and that's where you get your chime from. And then this is the key to wind it, or a key. When I bought the clock, there was no key, so they didn't know whether it worked or not. And of course, I have plenty of keys. So this clock dates to about, I'll say somewhere between 1912, 1918, maybe 1922. Somewhere in that era after the turn of the century, but really before the Roaring Twenties, and it's right on the cusp because electric clocks are going to become popular in just a few years, and these old mantle clocks with winding keys are going to become a thing of the past. So we'll let it go for a few more hours to make sure it's running properly, and then I will put the gong back in, and we'll see what it does. That extra noise you hear, I'm percolating over here. Now this is another coffee pot that's going to be for sale very soon. A percolator from the 20s, and it's in gorgeous condition. I've done a lot of cleanup work on it. Wonderful old cord. A nice etched design of bellflowers there around the perimeter, and it's percolating away. And you can see I'm going to have coffee in just a minute in my wonderful 1930s cream and green teacup. And over here, yep, there's my ginger snaps. Okay folks, so that's a look at what I've been tinkering with all afternoon. What have you been tinkering with? Okay, I am 2 cups down, and I'll tell you what, this old percolator does a fine job. That is a delicious cup of coffee, and it will remain hot in this pot for quite some time. So I'm going to continue to use it for about a week or so, and then it will pop up in the old curiosity shop for your approval. Let's dive back in, and we can see that we're really in good shape now, because with the pendulum out And let me grab it and show it to you. Here's the pendulum right here. Okay, looks like a banjo. With it out of there, we should just be ticking away, and we are. But we're ticking away. It hasn't stopped. I think we're going to be in good shape. And if I had to venture a guess, now when I found this clock, it was fully wound. I mean, wound all the way to its maximum. And I think that it was put away in an attic. I think the key was lost, and it was not allowed to unwind itself. And I think the springs remained in their full, wound at their full capacity, and just sat for years and years and years and years and years. Well, you know, a body in motion stays in motion, right? So we had to get those springs moving again with some lubrication, and we're working pretty well now. So I've already got one screw in place to hold the clock in. You can see every once in a while it wants to stop, and then it picks itself back up and starts again. What I'm going to do is let it run itself run the course. I'm going to let it wind all the way down without the pendulum in there. Let it go ahead and wind all the way down to nothing. Oil the mainspring again and then wind it back up, and this clock will be as good as it was circa 1918-ish. Okay, so I will let you see me put one of these set screws back in. You actually might be able to hear it tick now that the percolator has quieted down, and I've turned off the old music. This is a Seth Thomas clock, by the way. Famous name in American clocks. Okay, we don't want that to be too tight. Perfect. So now we're back inside. Now let's get the chime in place. Well, okay, the chime is back in place, or the gong, I should say. It's not really a chime. And I spent about 10 minutes or so, a little bit longer, adjusting the hammer and the arm. You see, you've got to get this set just right so that there's no rattle, and when the clock strikes the hour and the hammer lifts up and falls down on the chime, do you hear how it resonates? Okay, if it's not, there's a little piece of felt right under here which strikes. Okay, and then this coil is the gong, and you've got to get it set just right or it'll rattle, or the gong will mute itself if the hammer is allowed to rest on top of the gong itself. You know, old clocks are like old men, grumpy and temperamental. I suppose, well, I guess maybe they have a right to be if they've lasted over 100 years. So, we're going to close the back on this clock, and I won't keep you waiting. We will spin it around and take a look at the face. Well, there it is. It's a beautiful old clock purchased by me for $5 at a flea market, given up as a lost cause. Solid mahogany cabinet, which is beautifully alligatored over the years. And in my opinion, if you were to strip that, you would be committing murder. It took 100 years for that old clock. Oh. My. Let's have a cup of coffee. As I was saying, it took over 100 years for this old clock to develop that beautiful alligator hide finish. And that's when the old shellac cracks because of the changes in the atmosphere and the humidity and so forth. And you can't fake a finish like that or recreate it. Nope. You gotta let time do its thing. Okay, alright folks, hope you enjoyed that. It wasn't a full restoration, but I thought I would give you a peek into this. We're going to let this clock continue to run for a week or so, and then we'll put her up for sale. Alright folks, it's Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop, now back to this and that.